What's up, guys? Keatster here. Welcome to the Hover Wyvern guide. I'm going to be going over the basics and a couple tips and tricks on how to use this blade effectively, and then we're also going to go through some gameplay to show you it in action. So before we get into that, I have a few shoutouts. Shout out to Spandy for being the one that kind of inspired me to even pick up this blade and learn it. And shout out to Elliot 9000 for allowing me to borrow his for the weekend so we can get this content for you guys. So before that, we don't forget we have the giveaway going on. All you have to do is make a Metafy account and subscribe to be entered. So yeah, make sure you get those accounts made and that subscription in before the end of the month so that you can be entered into the giveaway. Winner's going to get a free coaching session of their choice. And let's just hop into this now. Why should you pick Hover Wyvern? It delivers powerful one-hit knockouts. This thing can KO pretty much anything from almost anywhere within the stadium. It delivers very powerful hits, and it's really efficient at doing so. You can control certain areas within the stadium, so by doing certain launch techniques, you can basically cut off zones of the stadium by pointing your blade at them, and it makes it so your opponent can't really use those areas of the base stadium early on without risking getting bursted or overfinished or extremed by you. This thing just hits so hard that um, even running into it is bad for them. It has a lot of stamina. It's deceptively high, as I have written here. It can outspin pretty much all the other attack types within the meta, and if it hits things hard enough, it can destabilize other bays and win against stamina types just by hitting them enough. And it also has a really good matchup in Dragoon E because of its shape. You can knock it around a bit, and then at the end of the battle, they find it hard to spin steal off of you because of the like kind of wavy shape that Wyvern has. However, this bay is not plug and play. You can't just stick it on the launcher and launch hard with it. It will not give you the results that you want. It has a lot of recoil, so that can be very detrimental at times. You're kind of gambling when you use this sometimes. You'll get a lot of 2 points, but there'll be a lot of 2 points scored against you because of the recoil. And it's a lot lighter than most other aggressive blades, and blades in general in the meta right now, being barely 35 grams at like a high end. Uh, it can get knocked around a bit against the heavier baits such as Scorpion Spear, so you have to be careful. But yeah, it's pretty good. Um, the combo that I am recommending for this is going to be Hover Wyvern 960 Kick. Uh, this bay as a whole kind of uses the shape perfectly, in my opinion. Um, Hover Wyvern, like I said, has these big slopes on it, and on the sides, it's very smooth, so it's also decently well at defending, but not perfect compared to things like Silver Wolf and stuff like that. But as a mobile defense type, it is very usable. Those big wings on the side or slopes also angle down on the side, so they actually push things down, and that's how you get a lot of stamina finishes by destabilizing opponents in the end game. And yeah, so why did we pick 960 and kick, or why did I pick it? 960 is really compact, and it's hidden pretty well under the Hover blade. Hover doesn't really provide any sort of ratchet protection, so you need to be wary of getting bursted. So 960 is a great pick here. It's really centralized as well, so it helps prevent like some recoil. Obviously, this thing has a lot in certain types of collisions, so it's not going to be perfect, but any little bit of mitigation helps. And with the shape of Hover Wyvern, it can actually pop itself out of the over and extreme zones without the help of like a 160, so you can use your 160 somewhere else in the deck. So it lets you free up your deck building options. You don't feel like forced to use 160 on your attack type just because you're afraid of self over extreming and stuff like that. So 960 is a very great choice on this. Kick, however, is something that I am a bit newer to. I know some people liked it, but for me, it wasn't really my cup of tea until I really messed with it on Hover. I hadn't had great results with it anywhere else. Kick provides a great angle for hover where it's just enough where it can get under the lowest things in the meta, such as Dragoon Elevate and Rod Low Orb, but it doesn't knock you too far over where you start scraping or it's too far and you, after contact, get hit into the stadium. It's just enough to get under them so that the big wave can scoop them up and throw them or just smash attack them out. And also the side of kick allows you to do different types of stalls or slide drops and things like that a lot easier. The hexagonal sides let you uh, pull yourself over that inner ridge and also pulls you closer to the gear, so you stall for a substantial amount of time. I find it stalls a lot longer than things like rush and point because it's not entirely flat. It just wants to hang around on the outside of the stadium, and it's nice because once you drop back down, it gives you a nice angle, and that delivers huge hits for you. So, what are our goals with Hover Wyvern? Uh, we want to soar 2 points or 3 points against all these stamina and defense. Anything that's stationary, we want to tee off on them. So we need to make sure we get our launch perfect. The stadium will help you a bit. You don't need to be like picture perfect every time, but just making sure you're doing the correct launch will ensure that you get the contact you need to score your 2 or 3 points. Um, Against other attack types and things like that, we want to use our attack points or our contact points in a more creative way where we're either going to deny space by putting our blade in a spot where we think their pattern is going to be. So if we think they're going to flat launch, we're going to try to aim so that we catch them as they're either coming out of the center ridge or up around the top of the gear line, and that's going to point them towards the pockets and us towards the back wall. You'll be able to demonstrate this a bit more in the gameplay. Or against attack types, we can also just use the side of the blade and be more of an anti-attacker because of how smooth it is and how good the stamina is on this blade. We can actually just use it like a mobile defense type and score our 1 point as long as we're not at the wrong space in the wrong time, and then the recoil gets us. It's not perfect. I prefer using the method of just using an angled launch and defending a certain spot, and then maybe just counterattacking them later. So yeah, we're gonna get in some gameplay here, and we're gonna showcase how this blade works. All right, so now we're jumping into the gameplay portion of the video. First few matches here are going to show off just the power this blade has against more stationary builds. So this first matchup here is against a Samurai Saber on Hexa, which is a pretty defensive build. Samurai Saber is maybe not the most ideal blade to be on this, but still pretty good. At the beginning here, we go for a stall of some sort. We wanted to get further up on the outside, but it's fine. Just the small angle will eventually pull itself up with kick. So we're going to ride the inner ridge here for a bit. We almost self KO, but it's fine, we didn't. And it looks like we waste a lot of time here going around, but Hover doesn't need a lot of spin to get its knockouts. It just needs a little bit. So this one isn't more of the one shot. It kind of just tapped it in a bit, but like I said, it doesn't need a lot. This second one here is against a Wizard Rod on Low Orb, and this one is probably the best showcase of how strong this blade can be. So we get a stall here and big extreme here. I'm gonna go back to the start here for this one. Um, we shoot into sort of a stall here. It goes back in, but we can watch kick actually pull itself from the inner section of the stem. And it's just gonna pull itself back into that right side hill, I guess, and it's gonna stall and then drop back down. It's a bit unique of a pattern that I don't really see a lot of other bits do. So yeah, we're gonna go back just a little bit to show it in slow-mo. Um, yeah, so we start off with a stall here, and it looks all right, but it's kind of bouncing off the rail. One hit here, and then, yeah, see, look, we're in the middle, but this angle is going to allow kick to grip into the stadium and pull itself back up. So now we're in the perfect spot again with a good angle, and just one big hit is going to send our opponent directly into the extreme pocket. Uh, this is really showcasing how good kick is on this combo compared to things like it's traditionally seen on like low rush. Just being able to reset and get your stall back again later in the match is crazy. And it's so much easier to just do these stalls with this setup as well. And yeah, so we score a big extreme there. We're on B side here this time, so we kind of just go for a bit of a tilt in the top, and we're gonna drop back down here. And here's kick pulling itself back up for us, and a big hit. We don't get the extreme there, but definitely potential for it. And now we can see how the stall happens. Look how much time we spend up here towards the rail. Imagine this is an AVA matchup, and our opponent is just going around. Like if this wolf was an attack type here, they would be after a X dash, they'd be resetting in the middle and then coming back around again. Well, if our hover wyvern is just chilling out here, they can't do anything. They're gonna run straight into us. They have no choice. That's just how their pattern's going to be. They're going to run straight into us, and they're just going to take a bunch of recoil from this collision. It's going to be a huge collision, but Hover Wyvern, it can only go this way. Let's make that smaller. Hover Wyvern is only going to go back. There's nothing for me as a Hover Wyvern player to be worried about me stalling up in this section of the stadium. They have no choice but to hit me, and they're going to just get pointed this way. You know, they don't have a choice. They're just gonna get stuck here, and we're just defending the space. That's all we're trying to do in against our AVA matchup. Obviously, this isn't an AVA matchup, but it demonstrates how you can use this stall to protect or defend certain areas in the stadium and cut them off from your opponent. And it just shows how you have to manipulate stadium side to make Hover Wyvern as effective as possible. It can be very luck based, or like I say, I was calling it a slot machine all day, where depending on where the contact goes, someone's going out and you don't know who. But if you can control it, then you do know who's going out because it's not going to be you if you launch properly. So we're gonna let this video play out a bit. We don't get a big hit really for the rest of the battle here outside of this one right here. And like I said, here's kind of the slot machine here. We got punched back because of the recoil, but that right there demonstrates that you don't need 160 on this blade. Hover Wyvern is more than capable of pulling itself out of the pocket. And after that, we just sent our opponent's Hexa crazy, and they self-extreme for us. So we get our desired result. Not really the intended way of getting there, but the process was there, and the fact that Hover Wyvern's able to save itself out of the overzone even later into the battle really helps us out there. Our next battle here is going to be against, I believe it's Rod Ball. And this one really demonstrates the stamina that this blade has, especially paired with kick. So this stall isn't perfect. It actually, we'll wait for the camera to adjust a little bit, and I'll show you what actually happened if you didn't see. Um, the blade, the Hover Wyvern, actually kind of rode in between this section of the rail. It just kind of followed this line until about here and dropped off. But it was actually riding this inner section between the rail and the gap in the stadium there. It's really interesting. Obviously, you're not trying to do that. You want to be on the inside of it so it actually goes a bit further. If this stall is done properly, it stops around here as opposed to where it's about to stop, which is right here. But it still works out for us. We actually get some decent contact here. And just look how long it sits. It wants to stay there. If we get further down the rail, or yeah, further down the rail, we'll actually be able to get that angle back from kick because of the slight angle in the stadium. But we're gonna get some big hits here, and I don't know exactly how hard my opponent launched here. I don't know if we just killed a bunch of their stamina from hitting them a bunch. We almost get an extreme there. Um, but yeah, Hover's gonna just circle them for the rest of the battle. I'm gonna end up skipping through this a little bit after we see what happens. We're not going to make much more contact for the rest of the round. Um, but Kick and Hover just have a lot of stamina. We hit them a lot. We probably drained a lot of spin from them. They extreme dashed like once. So Hover here is just going to circle around for a good bit of time. Let's get back to when the contact starts up again. But look at our opponent's Wizard Rod. It's already starting to die. And this is where the sides of Hover Wyvern are really going to show off what they can do. We're just going to stand up and we're going to destabilize our opponent by pushing them downward constantly. And you can see they're just tipping over, and we're pushing them down even further. We get a good little uppercut there, and they just die. And we win by a lot. Um, this isn't a small stamina win here. This is by a substantial amount for an attack type. Um, you don't really expect attackers to win in that fashion, but this blade just has a lot of stamina. So if your opponent is trying to weak launch, you kind of put your opponent in a bind. So they can try to weak launch to lower the amount of energy between the two bays so the recoil is smaller. So there's less risk in them getting thrown out. But with Hover, as long as there's a self KO or something within the battle, you have a chance if you hit them enough that you can actually outspin them if you don't get destabilized after one of your hits. It can happen. Hover will suffer a lot of recoil and scrape, and that's why 960 is nice because of how compact it is. You can actually lean a bit further over and not scrape as much, and you'll recover quickly. But yeah, that just shows the amount of stamina this blade has in comparison to other attack style blades like Phoenix Wing. I don't see Phoenix Wing winning a match like that often. Um, or I guess Aero Pegasus can, but or Scorpion Spear, not really. Scorpio doesn't really have the stamina to win a drawn out battle like that. So it's crazy stamina. You don't expect him to win that way. It's not your primary win condition either, but the option is there and the potential is there. So it's just nice to have. This matchup here is a same Wolf Hexa combo we played against earlier, but this is gonna show us what happens if you mess your launch up a bit and shows the risk involved with using Hover Wyvern, especially from X side. You open yourself up to a mistake like this. Um, let me skip that a little bit. So we launch. I don't push my bay further across. It doesn't escape the ridge, and just one big hit throws us in the pocket. We don't escape, and that's just because we were on the side that was pointing there. If you look, the wolf goes flying as well. So if we reverse this situation, the wolf is in the pocket and the hover is safe. So just making sure you're on the safer side of the same. And the hover almost pulled itself out of the pocket there. So, like I said, even at a low spin rate, it can pull itself out. But yeah, you have to be careful with your launch. Um, you can definitely try. I failed to pull it out of the pocket there. You can definitely get away with some iffy launches, but if you really got to practice with this to get the launch down, you want every match. You don't want contact to really start until you get to that good side, um, just so you can make sure you're in the best position possible, so you don't have situations like that where you give up 2 points to your opponent in a matchup where they're generally only going to win one if you don't get your knockout. Um, Now we're going to go into some attack versus attack matches. This first one's against a Tyranno beat. I actually don't get a good stall here, and I get a little lucky. I kind of hit the post there. But look at this huge hit. Both bays get sent flying across the stadium. But now, we're gonna show off how defensive this Hover Wyvern blade is. So, go back. All right, we're here, and big hit again, but we're still spinning very fast. Look at this. Look at the difference in spin here. You can just see that this Tyranno beat is basically dead, and this Hover Wyvern is still going. So much stamina in this blade. No chance for our opponent to come back there and spin finish us. Let's just go through this one more time. Um, go back a little bit more. All right, here we go. And like I said, in a perfect world, I get this stall perfect. I think I jam it into the rail at the beginning there, and it just doesn't give me enough force to get across. Maybe a slightly deeper angle allows kick to pull itself over the ridge and then get the stall we want. But like I said, we get a little lucky here, but they get sent flying as well. Uh, Now it's kind of just chaos, but we still have this good angle. And see, this is it's a glancing blow, but we don't really take any sort of knockback from that. And look, another one, but this one didn't. It doesn't even look like it hits the back wall. It kind of just bounces off the rail. So Hover is just tanking these hits, and then it can also deliver them straight back. And like I said, now that the Tyranno Beat just doesn't have the stamina to compete with the Hover Wyvern at this point of the battle, and we're gonna win by a spin finish here. Um, so yeah, this thing is really good at defending against attacks as well. So this is against a Phoenix Wing, and I think I have the same issue here. Or actually, no, I started different. The stall starts a little too far back. I need to push it a bit further so it can actually travel. But it'll hang out for a bit, and just one hit just snipes this bit and ratchet and just bursts our opponent on contact. And it just shows how you can use this blade defensively. Ideally, you want to be further across, but when we're just sitting here in this bowl like this, look, we're just chilling in the inside. Our opponent doesn't want to hit us this way. Um, just one hit, and it's like it's just a small glancing blow from them. Like that, hit wouldn't result in anything real against something like a stamina type. We would still go sideways like this. But instead of just running into a wizard rod that's not going to really deliver much of a hit back to you, or a silver wolf, they're just kind of tank the hit. They're going to go off to the side, and then you're going to restabilize and X dash again once they hit the middle again, and you get another shot at it. Hover Wyvern isn't going to give you another shot if it's angled towards you. It's going to burst you. It's going to knock you around, destabilize you like crazy. And as you see here, the bit just instantly comes out of the blade. This was a matchup going into the day that I didn't really have a chance to try at home. Self-testing attack versus attack is a bit difficult, so didn't really have the chance to see how this matchup played out. And um, and in general, Nightmail on Brush is very good against attack types because of the amount of stamina it has in comparison to them. So it normally will grind out a match and then win by OS or outspin. But here, Hover has the stamina to actually match it. So I attempt a stall here, but I kind of miss it. But we're still in a decent spot. Hover is still angled towards the pockets, and their opponent's still just in the kind of in the danger zone, where if they would have hit us, we would have sent it back. Um, the 960 there kind of saves us from taking a lot more damage from this uppercut that this Nightmail gives us. There isn't a lot for Nightmail to really grab onto and lift. Nightmare really needs more of the lift compared to Hover, where Hover can really just take anything and just send it flying with just even the smallest bit of purchase on it. Nightmare really wants to use your opponent's contact point as well as the angle to really throw it. But Hover Wyvern doesn't really have a contact point on the bottom. It's all on the top, so you don't have to worry about getting upper attacked really. So we're gonna trade blows back and forth, and Kick is gonna pull us back into another stall. You don't really see other bits do this. So we get to like reestablish ourselves on the safer side of the stadium. And just look at the stamina difference. This definitely helps that we're on kick as opposed to rush here. Kick probably has a lot more stamina. And look, another kind of drop or stall for just a couple of seconds, but every second matters when you're gonna come down to a stamina end game like this. And even though it's supposed to be favored against these attack types, Nightmail is slowing down and Hover Wyvern's still kicking. Um, Nightmail has a bit more recoily like sections on the actual side of the blade, not just on the top, so it's probably losing spin a bit faster than Hover is. And we're eventually going to get under our opponent a little bit and force them to start scraping on their one. And we're going to pull this out in a spin finish here. And it's by a decent margin here, so we're not winning barely. It's not a close call at all. Hover Wyvern just seems to have a lot more stamina here. Another Nightmail matchup. I believe this is probably from the same match. Or, yeah, same match. So we get a bit of a stall here, and like I said, it's not perfect, but kick is gonna help us out. Um, we almost get uppercutted again, but like I said, 960, not having a lot under our blade for Nightmare to really catch onto is gonna help. That's a big hit from Hover, two big hits from Hover. And like I said, we're just keeping this angle this whole time, and we're just gonna keep it face towards the pockets. And here's Kick doing another stall for us to get us back onto the good side. And look how much time we spent angled here, but not much scraping, and we're still at a good bit of spin, and we caught onto their one ratchet and really destabilized them there. Now they're hopping around, and we restabilize. We scrape a little bit, then restabilize on our kick, and now we're stood back up, and now we're using the side of our blade again to defend just a little bit longer, and we get another big spin finish here. Uh, no no contest, no close call. This blade has a lot more stamina than I previously thought, and these few matches against Nightmare really showed that to me. Um, I don't think it takes Nightmare's spot as an anti-attacker. It's definitely not that, but it just might be a matchup that Nightmare's kind of struggles a bit more with if the build is correct. I feel like if my Hover Wyvern was on like a 160 or something with a bit more like catch points on it, Nightmail probably throws it around a bit more. Some of those close calls might have been over finishes, but being able to play 960 on this made it so probably wasn't. And then just using our stamina in the end game to beat our opponent because they scraped on their one ratchet. Maybe the outcome's slightly closer without that, but yeah, we were able to beat the anti-attacker, which is really surprising. This last matchup here is really going to show the power that Hover Wyvern has against Dragoon Elevate. Um, so this is probably the best stall that I get all day. So we're going to just pause the video here, go back, and show it off just one more time. Um, I skipped past it. So this is all kick. It just pulled itself up to the top, and now we're just stalling. But we are going to get a couple big hits against the Dragoon, and is totally destabilized here. Um, and of course, us being the attack type, we lose at spin a bit faster as well. So we're not spinning so fast that they can't catch up like let's say Wizard Rod on ball and things like that when they knock each other around for a bit. The Wizard Rod's still spinning by a lot, and the Dragoon just can't come back because the shape of the rod isn't as jagged and things like that. I've seen things where Phoenix Wings will knock around a Dragoon for a bit. It'll get close, like end game like this. But since the Phoenix Wing has a bit more things that let Dragoon grab onto it a bit easier and spin equalize, the Phoenix will still lose even after knocking the Dragoon around like our Hover Wyvern did here. But since Hover Wyvern has this very awkward wavy shape, it kind of just keeps destabilizing Dragoon constantly. And since it's smooth on the side, there isn't a lot for Dragoon to grab onto, so you're gonna end up destabilizing them, and they just can't spin steal anymore, and you're gonna win by outspin. I've seen this happen a lot just watching other matches where it's Hover versus Dragoon, not even my personal ones. So, I mean, Hover has a big um, advantage in this matchup. Uh, you can deliver big hits early, potentially burst them because of that, get KOs or extremes, or you can even take it to an end game and win. Obviously, it's not perfect. I'm sure Dragoon has ways to win this matchup as well, but the fact that this is even an option is crazy. So I hope you enjoyed, guys. This took a bit more to make compared to the normal standard match reviews, but I hope this is content you guys like. If you do, uh, leave a comment on the video if you are subscribed and on the Metafy account. Um, and yeah, make sure you get subscribed so you can be entered into that giveaway. And I'll see you guys later.